Hey, welcome back, and more importantly, thanks for waiting. I've seen a lot of interest in the upcoming AliExpress 11/11 sale, so without knowing the final discounts, here are five-ish watches that I've been keeping an eye on. I'm actually wearing one right now. This is the Ixdao Engineer Homage, so I'll get that reviewed for you next week. But for now, here's a sneak peek, and this is the teal dial version. I really love the fit and just coincidentally how it sets off against the orange jacket. I said 5 watches, and I really meant brands. The new Ixdao Engineer, it's a good place to start. Here's the logo version and a couple more colors in the dial. Like I mentioned, the on-wrist fit is exceptional, and it's a great example of this integrated sports watch kind of look for your 1970s millionaire cosplay. But that being said, there are some QC issues and looser tolerances. It's nothing major, especially given the price point. But it's currently sitting for me at $260 and I wouldn't be surprised if that drops to the 220s. And with the PT5000 movement and the thin profile, there's definitely going to be a market for this watch at that price. If case finishing is a big deal and you've got a wrist on the slightly larger side, then we can find another Ixdao at an even lower price point. And this is the case from their Sak Homage with more generic vintage dials, and I like this one in particular, especially for the sword hands. And with more attention on the Engineer, just really check the discounts on these older models during the sale. But the diver I really want is this new model from San Martin, and $225 already feels like a steal given the new bracelet and clasp, and it makes cost-saving measures like the printed logo totally acceptable in my opinion. At 39 millimeters in diameter, I really think that this might be a hit with the non-homage crowd. And if you're into homages, that's more your thing. I saw this Ranger GMT listed for $175. And that's crazy given that San Martin charges twice as much for watches with the same movement, but this one obviously had a lower design cost. Rounding out San Martin are 2 older references with significant discounts. And first is this German-style Pilot with a YN55 movement, and that's going for less than $140 US currently, and that's an automatic from this brand on bracelet. Granted, it's with the older hardware. This is definitely a good deal, and it's one of the few options on AliExpress that is also available with a fully loomed dial. Finally, some new dials for the Longines Homage, and the speckled one came out first. It looks great, but definitely an acquired taste. And next we got the Salmon. I'm actually a really big fan of this color, but it's hard to collect more than one. The gray is the most recent, and it could well be a popular watch, but the visibility is totally ruined by having these blue hands on the gray dial. Nevertheless, because this is a $150 circa sale price watch, I think it's a real opportunity for the amateur modder. So high quality NH35 hands are really easy to find, and there's no concern here about matching the loom. We move from some of the best brand naming to the worst, and we have Hroudland. It sounds like an unpleasant place. Fortunately, there is a no logo version, and the dial layout here really doesn't need one. But speaking of 70s costumes, I love how this watch, it can look vintage at a glance. Again, we have an integrated bracelet, but this style was shared by a lot of different brands at that time period, and sharing components was common practice in European companies too. For a quartz watch, it's not cheap at $180, but I do like the movement choice. This is Seiko's Mecha Quartz, really mimicking the Valjoux automatics dial layout, but that is the neo-vintage workhorse chronograph, really the classic. So it fits the low-profile nature of this watch, and I'd be really excited to see other sort of more generic chronographs using this movement. At number 4 is an obscure watch which has been on my radar for a while. This is the famous Bauhaus style case, but crucially with a Miyota 9015 movement. And this watch has actually been out for a while, but previously I could only find the variation on the left, and that slanted date window just really killed the appeal for me. TD/CN is pretty meaningless as a brand name, but the logo looks good at a glance, and for me that would be Toronto Dominion Canadian National. It appears to be a private label dial from the Tizelle factory, and that was at least the consensus on Reddit. The price, under $160 is great given the movement in sapphire crystal. Now, it is a new listing and with only one order, but the AliExpress storefront is established. Note this batch also has only the silver rather than the blued hands. Wrapping up, we have a few Baltanys. The 1921 Driver's Watch Tribute must be the most hyped dress watch of the season. And I love the original from Vacheron Constantin. Unfortunately, I'm short about $40,000. The angled dial here is designed for gripping the wheel of your automobile, and the finishing, both dial and case, looks exceptional as usual. It's on the high end at $310 US, and that is without store coupons. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised because Baltany recently released this case with a quartz movement at just under $175 US. Much closer release dates than last year's 1923 tribute. And speaking of which, this is a good watch to look out for, getting you into that same finishing and 9000 series movement. Again, previous years are a good value to look for in the upcoming sale. It's already sitting below $280 USD for me. And dials include an exclusive sand color and mother of pearl. The latter is easily unisex, and with holidays around the corner, you never know. Ending with an honorable mention is a ladies' Baltany, and that could also make a smart gift. These time-only quartz watches with opal dials they've had a limited production run, and the heart is a nice touch here too. So a sale pickup now might go a long way come December or February. Anyways, subscribe for more of these obscure watch finds on the old AliExpress algorithm. So we still have lots of time to figure out the final prices, pardon the pun. But anyways, thanks again, and I will see you soon.